Alright. Well, brother, you gotta learn to shut that down. You gotta learn to be confrontational. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my wedding because she always jokes about sleeping with my fiancé? No, you're not. End the video. The account was banned. I can't even look at their comments. Well, she just wants validation and compliments. So hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Layla, and it's everyone's favorite time of the month. Today, we're gonna be reading some Am I the A-hole stories, and in case you're like, what the frick is that? Am I the A-hole is a subreddit on Reddit where people can explain a story or a situation and ask the timeless question, am I the a-hole? And from there, people in the comment section will go yes, no, maybe so, everybody sucks here, so on and so forth. Now, my main go-to for these really crazy, toxic, what the frick is happening ones is this page on Instagram called Toxic Reddit. They're a page that curates some of the most toxic Reddit stories from across various subreddits, not just Am I the A-hole. So if you're into that, you should go check them out. They'll be linked down below. And then another page we've started recently using for more neutral stories is also a page on Instagram called I'm Truly Confused. These two pages will be linked down below if you want to give them a follow. So everyone, what I want you to do is to grab your snacks, grab your drinks, get all comfy cozy, and let's just dive right in with the first post. Am I the a-hole for not complimenting my wife so that she won't become vain? Context. My wife, 29 female, and I, 31 male, have been together for 10 years. We share 3 children, 9, 7, 5. But not 6, 7. My wife was never someone to really dress up or put much thought into her looks. She's always been beautiful, but never did much to highlight it. Until recently. She went through this crisis of feeling like she didn't have a personality outside of being a mom. Common, I hear. Something like that. So for the last 2 years, she started traveling more, joining different groups, dressing really nicely, wearing makeup. I never realized how much of a difference it would make, but people treat her completely different. She is constantly getting complimented, told she should be in magazines. She'll come home and happily tell me about the random stranger who was so nice to her. She randomly gets gifts. Lady at her job brought her an book series she was interested in. She gets hit on. When we go out, all these dudes want to buy her drinks. Even my family has noticed, and all of a sudden, it seems like they're wondering how I ended up with her. Honestly, it's a bit overwhelming for me, and something I'm just not used to. It's become kinda annoying. Anyways, she was going out with friends, and she asked me how she looked. I just said, fine. Compliment your women. She seemed disappointed with this. My sister was over and commented that I should hype her up. I said, why should I, when the world already does? That I don't want her thinking too highly, wrong too, of herself and becoming more vain. My sister looked shocked and said, that's F up. Said that's low-key abusive and I'm a-hole. I think she's overthinking it, but decided to get outside opinions, so am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. Did you ever compliment her before now? When the world wasn't? Or did you treat her like just a mom or something like that? Yeah, I did. All the time. I'm just saying too many compliments, wrong too again, can go to someone's head. I don't think she needs that. Translation. My wife is now out of my league, and I'm worried she'll realize she can do better, so instead of stepping up as a man, I'm going to drag her down using her previous self-esteem issues. Out of interest, where did you get this idea that too many compliments can go to someone's head? She's a grown woman who's had 3 kids. Sounds like she's very much appreciating the compliments she's getting and is thriving as a result. I just don't want her to become one of those girls that seeks validation or is fishing for compliments. Also placing too much value on her looks, wrong too again. You are not smart. I don't want her to become one of those girls that seeks validation. Bold words coming from the guy that went to Reddit for validation. Hell yeah, devil cat. I'm still hung up on we share 3 children. Like, those are your kids, dude. I don't even know what to say to this. So I would agree that this guy is the a-hole. Thinking that this is like gonna get to her and get in her head that she's worth more than she actually is kind of a weird stance to take, in my opinion. It just sounds like, hear me out on this. Here's my take on this. It sounds like maybe there's a little bit of jealousy or something kind of akin to that, in that she is being treated so much better now that she's put a little more effort into herself. It's weird to think that compliments would go to her head, and it's weird to withhold compliments. And in this post, he notices that she was disappointed by his lack of, like, you look nice, you look good. All he said was, you look fine. It's kind of weird to hold back compliments because you're afraid it will get into her head. Like, what can I even really say here? Sometimes, you know, becoming a mother, going through a pretty significant life change, you kind of feel like you're out of touch with yourself. Or so I've heard. I've never been a mother. I've never been a mother. And so sometimes when people kind of get to reconnect with what they were prior to children or prior to really significant life changes, they kind of grow back into themselves and they feel more like themselves. So to sit there and be like, well, she just wants validation and compliments, it comes across as kind of mean, maybe even kind of jealous, as I said, but, you know, that's just my perspective on it. That's just my original thought. So if you disagree, here's what you can do. You can subscribe and let me know what you think and what your take is. Compliments don't even have to be about how someone physically looks, right? Like, you can be like, wow, you know, that color really compliments you, or it really suits you. Like, compliments don't have to be over the top. Oh my gosh, you look drop dead gorgeous. I just think this situation is weird. Anyways, on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my wedding because she always jokes about sleeping with my fiancé? No, you're not. End the video. Okay, so I'm getting married in October. Small, chill, nothing crazy. Should be a happy time, right? Except my older sister, 31 female, has this thing where she constantly flirts with my fiancé, 29 male. Like, aggressively. And it's always under the guise of, oh my gosh, I'm just joking. Don't be so sensitive. First time she met him, deadass said, wow, you upgraded. I'd let him ruin my life too. In front of me. I laughed it off because I didn't want to seem insecure, but like, what the frick? Then she started with the, if you ever get bored of her, you know who to call. Comments. Again, in front of me. I told her it was weird and she rolled her eyes and said I'm too uptight. She's made so many little jabs. I saw him shirtless once. Damn girl, you got lucky. If you die first, I call it dibs. Whoa. Whoa. Too bad you got him first, lol. Like, it never ends. My fiance thinks it's awkward, but tries to ignore it. He's not flirtatious back, but he also doesn't really shut it down either. Just gets uncomfortable and laughs nervously. Well, brother, you gotta learn to shut that down. You gotta learn to be confrontational. Last weekend was the final straw. We were at my parents' house and I left to grab something from my car. Came back and heard her saying, I swear I'm not making this up. I mean, if you're having second thoughts, I'm always available. Just kidding. Unless... Like, the unless was real. That's not a joke anymore. That's a gosh dang come on. I snapped. Told her she's disgusting and can't come to the wedding. She flipped, cried, told my mom I was being dramatic. Now the whole family's saying I'm ruining the family over a joke, and she's just always been flirty. And doesn't mean anything by it. I don't care if she meant it or not anymore. I don't want that energy around me when I'm trying to get married. But now it's this whole thing and I'm apparently the villain for excluding her and making it a bigger deal than it is. Am I the a-hole for uninviting her? Or is this actually insane? Because at this point, I feel like I'm losing it. Not inviting her ass is the best thing you can do. She's the type, in my opinion, that will try to outshine you on your big day. I get she's your sister, but dang! I would never do that to any of my sisters. That's so disrespectful. Not the a-hole. Why the frick would you ever make comments like this about someone's significant other, especially in private to him, with you not around? Instead of admitting her wrong, she continues to gaslight you into believing you're insecure / overreacting. Ultimately, it's your wedding, and if she can't respect you and your boundaries, then she doesn't have to be there. She disrespected me, and I'm her own sister. That says everything I need to know. Thank you for your comment. Seriously, it means a lot. Not the a-hole. Your sister is making a play for your fiancé and would like nothing more than to bust up your relationship so that she could have him. There is nothing wrong with you setting strong boundaries, and your parents need to have a come-to-Jesus talk with your sister about her behavior and stop enabling her. If you invite disrespect to your wedding, you're allowing it to find a place in your marriage. She's not the a-hole for not inviting her, but like other commenters have said, she and her fiancé should have shut this down firmly and seriously a long time ago. This is insane. So do I believe that this story is real? Not necessarily, but I do know that some people are just crazy. So, you're not the a-hole, your sister is weird as frig. I'm not gonna lie. And I do agree that you gotta be confrontational with people like this. You gotta tell them, this is not okay. If you do it again, we ain't gonna be around you. And to uninvite her from the wedding, probably a very good, smart decision, because she just doesn't seem like the type of girl you want around at a wedding. If it's making your fiancé uncomfortable, you guys really should have said something as soon as this began. Like, if you do that again, we're not gonna come over. We're not gonna hang out with you. And so all around, just a very strange, uncomfortable situation. As someone with sisters, if any of them did that, you're getting the hell out. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. You can be my mother, sister, aunt, best friend. If you're flirting with my man, it's curtains. We're gonna have a long conversation. If you can't respect that it makes me uncomfortable, and not only that, it's extremely weird, you're out. You're donezo. Go! Making the fiancé uncomfortable is also crossing a boundary. How she doesn't notice that it's making him uncomfortable, you know? So there's a lot to this situation. There's a lot to take in. Doesn't really read as very real, but there are people who are like this in real life, and they're kind of gross. So yeah, I would say you're not the a-hole. You need to have a strongly worded conversation with your sister and properly deal with this. And if she's like, F you, she's like, F you, then uninvite her, don't be around her. Going no contact / low contact with people is unfortunately a thing that sometimes you have to end up doing because people will just keep crossing insane boundaries. But anyways, that's just my take on it. On to the next one. Am I the a-hole for taking my bonus and creating a secret room in my house, complete with a bookshelf door? Hello, am I the a-hole? Thank you for taking the time to weigh in on what was supposed to be a fun project, but it's turned into a major issue between my fiancé and I. I am a moderator on several other subs, so I am using throwaway so as to not cross the streams, so to speak. Last year, after several years of being out of steady work, I was able to land a really good job. Sorry, I'm stretching my spine. My new company had an unreasonably good year, and in late February, I got a 5-figure bonus. I've always wanted a secret room in my house. I honestly don't know why, but it's just always seemed so cool. To have a room where I pull a lever, a bookcase opens to my private space. I figured with the bonus, the time was right, so I hired a good contractor. They tore down some walls and started digging up the foundation to our spare bedroom, since the secret room will have a circular staircase to a new basement. That sounds expensive. The house was my grandma's and was given to me paid off when she died, so I own the house outright and have full legal authority to do this. Fiancé is so furious at me, she's thinking about calling off the wedding. She says that taking my bonus was wildly irresponsible and that we could have used the money to pay off debt, pay for some of the wedding to take pressure off her parents, or even save. I counter with this bonus was essentially found money that may never happen again, so we might as well have fun with it while we have it. She says we are getting married. This has to be a discussion, and me digging up the foundation and tearing out several walls in the house has made it impossible for her to live in the house. I counter again that it's my house. The argument has gotten so intense that she has moved in with her sister, and we may be looking at the end of our 2-year relationship. Am I the a-hole in this situation? You're the a-hole. So let me guess, your fiancé supported you through this period of unemployment? You have debt, her parents are paying for a lot of your wedding, and you take this money and blow it. I don't care that it's a cool little secret room, or if you gambled it away, or if you lit it on fire, either way, you blew it. And then you have the audacity to tell your future wife, the person you love the most in the whole wide world, to just suck it up and it's your house, even though she lives there, and you're about to be married and share the house illegally, just to sick it up through all the construction? I don't have to answer if you're the a-hole here, because it's going to hit you when you're alone in your little bat cave at 3 a.m. and cripplingly lonely and looking at her Facebook post where she's happily married with someone who actually appreciates her. Let's reread it. They have debt, and the parents pay for the wedding, which they don't have to, and seem to struggle a bit. And he does not think once about paying off debt or financing their wedding, but to build something for himself, and only himself. Next post. Why won't any women come to my secret basement room? OP had $12,000 in gaming debt. gaming debt, still charged his fiancé for half the taxes and utilities when he was out of work and wanted his fiancé to spend about half to 2/3 of her $350,000 she had in savings on fun stuff, since he thought the world is going to end in 5 to 10 years because of the current political climate. He also didn't discuss any of this with her before the contractor showed up. She left, moved her stuff out the next day. Oh well, this person trying to flex they're a Reddit moderator right off the bat. Clock strikes 12. Midnight. Alright, there's a grand prize. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna be an intelligent lady, and I'm gonna look up this post. Why did my screen go pitch black? I don't know. We're gonna look up this original post and see where people are getting this info from, because I have no doubts that it's true, but I don't know where they're getting this from. How did people get this information? The account was banned! I can't even look at their comments! Okay, so there's a comment from them. So my house is paid for. I was paying for the taxes and utilities by working random hours at a call center and friends' businesses. My debt is mostly from collecting and gaming. She was there but didn't know the extent of how much I was spending. She would never go into debt. In fact, she has a huge savings and investment portfolio that we battle over all the time because she thinks it's better to save it interminably. I say spend it. Okay, so it sounds like the comments got it right. I wasn't doubting anyone, I was just curious as to where they were getting this info. So, if we're going off the comment section, which seems to have been confirmed by the original poster himself, I have no idea how old these people are, but irregardless, the older you get, the more embarrassing a situation like this is, because your priorities, if you suddenly come into some good money, should not be, let me build a secret room. Which, by the way, I think is sick as hell. But if I suddenly was given a large bonus, say, one of my videos on YouTube goes viral, I'm not gonna spend the money I make off of that video and go build some secret bonus room because I have a little bit of money and I don't know if that money will ever come back in any way. I understand wanting to spend your money on fun stuff, you know, even as an adult, but your priorities should be adult responsibilities, such as, I don't know, something crazy like debt, and then your wedding, which weddings can be pretty expensive. And then here's where he goes wrong. He says that it's his house, as if he's not going to be marrying this woman, where legally, as it was pointed out, she would also own part of this house. So I think there's probably more to this situation than just, I spend my fun little money on a secret room, saying that it's his house. I saw in one of the comments, he said he didn't bring this up with her prior at all, he just went ahead and did it. So I do believe that this guy is absolutely the a-hole, because, like, where is your adult logical thinking? Like, a secret room is cool and all, but what are you gonna do with that? Beyond having a secret space, you have now lost all that money. The thing is, you don't know when you will come into a big bonus like that again. And to waste that money on something that you don't really need, that's not a necessity, is incredibly immature and childish. So in my opinion, 100% the a-hole, no way around this. I don't know where their situation ended up, because this guy was banned from Reddit, but let me just say a big freaking yikes. Anyways, on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to use any part of my husband's late girlfriend's name for our child? My husband and I have been together for 6 years. Married for 3, and now we're expecting our first child. My husband lost his girlfriend, Emmy, when they were both 21. They'd been together for almost 6 years, and he truly loved her. He was honest with me about her, and about the fact she would always be someone he missed, and that he had maintained a relationship with Emmy's parents. That was always okay with me. He seemed in a good place to be in another relationship, and he dated before me, so it was reassuring. About 6 weeks ago, my husband mentioned that if we had a girl, he would love to use Emmy, or Grace, which was Emmy's middle name, somewhere in the name. He told me it was something he always thought of doing, and told me for a boy, he thought of using masculine forms of Emmy or Grace somewhere in a boy's name. I told him I wasn't really on board with that, and he never mentioned this to me before. He asked me why he would, and then said he didn't know why I'd be difficult about it. It was a few days later, he told me he wanted to use the names, and he was putting his foot down, that he should be allowed to. He said we can add it as a second middle name if I won't consider a first name, or first middle name, but that it should be absolutely in there somewhere. He said only someone jealous would be hesitant to use it, like I am. I asked him how he would feel about it if he were in my shoes, if I wanted to name our child after someone else that I would always love but couldn't be with. He told me he would suck it up for my sake and he would accept the dead aren't competition. Then he said he would actually be the one suggesting it, and there would be no weirdness for him. It was a couple of weeks later when he brought it up again, and he said he would do this even if I loved my late partner more, and was only with him because I couldn't be with my late partner. If I had one, I don't. That became something more emotional for me because it felt like a confession when he brought it up because it was randomly said to me. But maybe it also felt like he might be speaking for his feelings and how he might think I'd feel. I never had an issue with him loving Emmy or remembering her, feeling sad about her death, or anything. I just never thought I'd be asked to name my child after her. To me, it feels weird and wrong after this whole thing has made me insecure in our marriage. I told him as much, and he suggested I was jealous and shouldn't be so threatened by someone who has died. He told his sister what was happening a week ago, and now she's asking me to explain my feelings, and asking if I'm a woman or a little girl, because only a little girl would be jealous of a dead partner. What? I asked my husband why he told his sister because now she was getting involved. He said he had to vent to someone, and he felt I was being unreasonable and unkind about this. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Names are always a 2-yes scenario. Naming your child after his dead girlfriend is weird and puts an unnecessary emotional burden on your daughter. Imagine one day finding out you're named after a woman your dad loved and that the woman is not your mother. Children aren't meant to be a living memorial for the benefit of someone else's feelings. Ask his sister if her brother is a man or a little boy who needs his sister to pick on pregnant ladies for him. Don't give an inch. I guarantee if you allow this, she will be treated differently than any other children you have with him. It's pretty creepy to make the person carrying your child name your baby after your long-lost lover. I scrolled too far in my saved. Whoops. The fact that he waited until she was pregnant to bring this up is so foul. She's not threatened by someone who died. She's afraid she'll always be second best to someone she can't compete with. He's only with her because he can't be with the one he actually loves. Yeah, so I'm gonna gently close this laptop, but yikes. So, first of all, I do agree that naming a child is kind of a two-way street, you know? It's not a, this is my decision and only my decision. So him wanting to name their first child after someone he was in love with who tragically died, you're memorializing someone in the name of your child who you will never be with again, and it makes your current partner uncomfortable. And that's kind of where this all hinges on, is that the woman pregnant with the child is uncomfortable with this. Mocking the original poster, calling her a little girl, getting your sister involved, like, all of that is so childish and so immature that if I was even remotely on this guy's side, that would have completely turned me against him. Really, a very delicate situation. You know, losing someone suddenly and tragically, I think we can all empathize on some level how hard that must have been. But your life has completely moved on from that. You're with someone new. Now, if you are using your current wife just to get over the death of someone else, that's pretty sad. And it sounds like he didn't really take time to actually heal and move on. And if he wasn't able to do that, then he shouldn't have gotten back into dating. You know, we have read stories about widows before, and it's pretty obvious the ones who are ready to open up their hearts to new love and move on from that part of their life that can no longer be. But that's not what he did, it sounds like, and I see why the original poster is uncomfortable. I just think it was very demeaning the way this situation was approached. I think that it comes across as very nasty when the person carrying your child doesn't get a say or a preference in the name of their child, which you also have to remember that this kid is not always going to be a baby. Like, you're not naming a pet. You're naming a human being that's going to grow up and become an adult, and if they find out that they were named after someone who died, and it's not their mother, as was pointed out, that might be a little bit disturbing to the kid. That's kind of just my take on it. You know, I see the nuance here, I see the different angles. I don't want anyone to think that I'm siding with the husband, because I'm most definitely not, but I think people always want us to exercise as much empathy as we can and see each angle. I just don't see it from his view. And it was very manipulative what the sister did. It's just a really uncomfortable situation and really makes you question, was he actually over his deceased girlfriend? Food for thought, just my take. Anyways, on to the next one. So we have now reached that time of the night where we read one last crazy one and call it there. So everyone get all comfy, settle all in, and let's just dive right in with our final post. Am I the a-hole for continuing to attend a club after my friend got kicked out? I, 28 female, went to a club the other day for a live music event I was interested in. Club, 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 club. What do people even do there? Dance? Drink? Kiss? It is a fairly chill place, and I've been there before, and know that the owner likes to make it an environment that is chill and not too crazy and feel safe. One of my friends, a 28 male, was interested in going as well when I asked him, since I know he likes that type of stuff. When we got there, the bouncer asked me if we are a couple, and I said no, we aren't, and that we are just friends but going together. He told me I was okay to come in, but my friend couldn't. This is in Montreal, Canada, and I spoke to him in French, and he told me, assuming my friend couldn't understand French, that they don't allow single young men of his background, he is South Asian, at the club anymore since they have caused problems and made people uncomfortable.
Huh?
Now, my friend actually speaks French, since although he has Indian ancestry, he was actually born in France, and he jumped in and shouted that we are going to leave in that case. The bouncer was a bit taken aback since he did not realize he was French. The bouncer should be taken aback by his actions! I told him I'm not leaving, since I really wanted to attend this. And he suggested we go to a different bar nearby instead, but I stood firm. Well, good for you, girly pop! He then stormed off and went home, not even to the other place he mentioned. Now he hasn't been answering my texts much, and said he just needs time to cool off. Am I the a-hole here? It was not me who denied him entry, and I don't feel like I needed to suffer the consequences and miss the event. And I feel it is just a misunderstanding. If he hadn't been so confrontational, and once the bouncer realized he was French, he would have likely apologized and let him in. You're the a-hole. You ditched your friend for a racist venue. I hope he never speaks to you again because he just saw firsthand that you would never support him against blatant racism and bigotry. You were not a good person. Well, it was wrong to assume by the bouncer if he tried to convince him and told him he would behave well and respect the environment, he would likely have allowed him. If he had done this and still had refused, then I might have followed him to the other place. It sucks, but it is like with police. Even if it is technically correct, there is no need to escalate situations and make a scene. No, this is a microaggression, and it's racism. You're defending it because you're racist. You can yap and try to make yourself look better. It's not going to work. I hope your friend, you aren't his friend, never speaks to you again. You are vile. I'm literally his only close friend here, and he has told me that. I would never do what the bouncer did, and literally have never said anything racist in my life. I don't even swear like many people. I am, however, a fairly non-confrontational person, even when people act badly towards me. I feel it is just a misunderstanding. Being racist isn't a misunderstanding. You're the a-hole. Quebecans and being insufferable name a more iconic duo. Of course it was wrong of him to assume, but it is not like I did it. And people aren't perfect. It could have been a learning experience for him to apologize and realize that he should not judge since he realized the mistake and that he was French. Then if the interaction went positively and the bouncer felt shame, he might correct his ways and be better next time. I like how she keeps repeating that the racism would have been okay if he was Indian, but as a French Indian, he may have negotiated his way in. Why would you even post in Am I the A-hole if you're not willing to accept you did anything wrong? But I'm non-confrontational. I don't feel like I needed to suffer the consequences of your friend being South Asian? Okay, so let's just start out with, you are the a-hole, absolutely. I think most people, if they went to a venue and then their friend got racially profiled or, you know, was treated less than because of their skin color or something about them, I think most people would be like, well, I'm getting out of here. We're never going to this venue again. To judge someone on the basis of skin color is what? Racism! So a venue where they don't allow Indian people in, like, there's so much to unpack and process here, but let me just be honest and upfront. It's racism you're a horrible friend, and you are the a-hole. I think the lack of accountability as well in the comment section kind of solidifies my views here. There's not a lot to say on this. I think it's really important, empathy-wise, to put yourself in the shoes of another person, and so to be not allowed entry into a place simply because of your skin color is not only insane, but it shows a lot about the venue. And moreover, I can't even imagine the amount of offense that would have caused your friend, and then you just kind of rub it in their face being like, well, it was a misunderstanding. Was it though? So yeah, there's not a lot to add to this. There's not like, well, you know, maybe. No. You're the a-hole. Next. So everyone, that is where we're gonna cut it off for the night. If you are interested in checking out any of the original posts, they will all be linked down below, whichever ones I am able to find, as well as to the 2 pages we used tonight. And if you want some more Reddit stories, I will link down to my master Reddit stories playlist, as well as Am I the A-Hole only stories for you to check out. And we can hang out a little bit more. Subscribe. So thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you all here next time.